Welcome to the established 1875 podcast, home of all things Blackburn Rovers. Join us with weekly guests, exclusive news and lots of in-depth game analysis. Join me, Matthew, of the Roversreports and Luke of the AllRovers and dive into all the latest news in Ewood Park. Hello and welcome to the first episode of the established 1875 podcast. Today joined by myself, the Roversreports, and also Luke of AllRovers. So we're going to get into the transfer news straight away here. The summer's coming along nice and brightly and, a lot of incomings already, Luke. Very exciting projects going on at the minute. What do you think of the overall project over at Rovers at the minute, mate?
I think it's encouraging. I like to see that we're going in different markets once. We're not staying local. We're not staying in England. We're going abroad. We're going to Scandinavia. We're bringing some names that, we haven't heard before. You've got your Sigurdsson and you've got Sondre Tronstad. So we've got two people we don't really know about. And I think they've been quite low-key, which I like as well.
Yeah, I think Greg's done his little bit there, hasn't he? I think, when he came in, we all knew about how he can keep everything undercover. I think he's done it perfectly. I think, the Niall Ennis one as well, a great signing, very well proven in League One. If we can keep him fit, let's see where that goes. But like you said, the Tronstad and Sigurdsson going into the Scandinavian market, the Scandi Rovers in full effect. And if we look at the incomings, it's looking to stay that way, not necessarily country-wise with the people, but the market we're looking in with the Norwegian and the Swedish leagues. First of all, we've got Aker Adams. How much do you know about this man? Nigerian, and, he seems to have quite a good goal-scoring record there in the Norwegian second division, I believe it is. What do you think of the guy?
Well, I did a bit of research. I had a look into him. Found out that he scored 10 goals in 11 games. He seems a big physical unit, and although I'm not really convinced he'd be able to do it in England, and it seems like the fans think he's worth over 20 million, which is a bit dodgy. So
Fans are always going to push it though. We'd say we'd sell Sam Gallagher for 20 million if we could, but we're just not going to, are we?
No, you've got a point. I mean, there was on the transfer market saying he's worth about 5 million, but it's if he feels ready for that step up. Like everybody wants to move to England, but obviously he's got a decent scoring record. But I don't think I'm very convinced with him. I won't lie to you. I wouldn't. I don't think I'd go in for that particular player.
No, 100%. It's of course it's a risk in its own right. I think though with the Scandinavian leagues and the Scandinavian market, it's always a risk in the first place. We're blowing Sigurdsson's whistle already, but it's still a risk at the end of the day. He's not been playing European football for a long time. Not that we are, of course not, but it's always nice to know that we could have pulled someone of that factor. Whereas, his time in Italy wasn't nice. Obviously, due to what's going on in Russia, he couldn't really do much there whatsoever. Yeah. He seems to have done all right in the Swedish league. When I say all right, apparently he's kept this team up comfortably with a lot of goal contributions. But we'll see. But another name that was on the list again into the Scandinavian market was Lidberg. Don't know much about him, but of course we had to re-record this video to try and keep up with all the news because of course knowing our luck with Spotify. Not being able to upload within 24 hours because we need to authenticate it all. Now we can finally, do it. But Lidberg's the latest one on the list. Do you know much about him?
I won't lie. I don't really know much about him. I've seen his scoring record. It doesn't really convince me. 65 games, 11 goals. It's just screaming problematic to me. I don't think if we want some improving, we keep going in. We want this landmark, we want this signing of a striker who's going to blow minds away. Like he's going to score 20, 30 goals where he's been, but there's not really been that sort of strong link to anybody like that yet.
Yeah, and like you said, the goal scoring record for Go Ahead the Eagles, I believe it is. You'd be hoping for a player who wants to prove himself and a player that wants to be, making a name out there. He'd be doing a lot more than 11 goals in the amount of games he's played. But again, you've seen it before. I saw a tweet the other day where it's like, oh, there's players that we signed before Gested didn't have the best goal scoring record and look how good he was for us. But then someone did just reply was, let's just sign any striker and see if they do any good then, because it's as simple as that. Anyone can have a bad goal scoring record and do well elsewhere. But, moving on there, and we are looking quite local as well. The one that I want to bring up that confused me a little bit anyway, the last striker that we're really looking at in much detail is going to be Sonny Perkins from Leeds United. bit of a strange one for me personally. I think, with Leeds coming down, if he is a championship quality striker, surely he gets his shot at Leeds. He doesn't need to come to us. But, I'm going to go to you. What do you think of that? For me, a very, very, very strange one.
I genuinely think that if we sign him, it shows a lack of ambition. I feel like Leeds have come down, and like you said, he should be a part of that Leeds setup. If he's good enough to play in the Championship, why would Leeds loan him out to a fellow Championship club who are going to, rightly, we're both going to be pushed at the top end of the table. And I think that's going to be the expectation from Rovers fans from the end of last season, only just missing out with goal difference. Like, if it's a genuine link and we are looking at him on loan, I wouldn't be happy with signing him. I mean, you can always judge a book by its cover, but I just don't think he's for us.
Yeah, for me personally, I can't see it. If what's going on, what we'll get onto later on with Gallagher's true, then maybe I understand a little bit more. Maybe I understand that maybe a backup link there. But if he's our starting striker, then all the other signings in my eyes mean absolutely nothing. But I'm gonna go to one here that I know that you're quite excited for and know a lot more about. Despidov. Talk to us, Luke, mate. Come on, talk to us about it.
Right. So I'll be honest, I haven't really seen him play, but I know he's played for the Bulgarian team and he's seen as a leader. He's clinical, isn't he? He's scored quite a lot of goals over in Bulgaria. He wants to move to England, and we're the only club interested. And there's a rumor that they want 3 million, there's a rumor they want 5 million, and it's all about generating money to get him here. And I think if we did sign him, he would have all the qualities of a top class striker, and I think he would prove a lot of people, right in saying we should be having him, we should be going for him. He's been around for a long time with the links. It came on the forum, didn't it, at first? For a long time, like basically the start of the window, and it's still lingering around, and it's come out with Richie and people like that now speaking about it. But we just need to generate that money. I'd love to see him at the club.
Yeah, and one thing that I've got to pinpoint there is the Venkies seem to have been investing quite a bit recently. Yes, a lot of what's been going on is their fault, but fair play to them. They obviously see a project going on now and they're starting to pay off the debts and they're starting to pay off all sorts. So, hopefully that means a bit more money into this. But, I've been talking to Metodi Shumanov, a Bulgarian journalist for The Guardian, for Sky Sports and stuff like that. And he said himself, if you sign Despidov, you need to expect a lot of big, big things. He said he heard about the signing with Sigurdsson. He said Sigurdsson and Despidov on the same pitch in the Championship just wouldn't be fair. And if we do want to be ambitious, if we want to go up there, if we want to win the league, if we want to get automatics, if we want to get playoffs, these are the type of signings we want to make. And it's really exciting things. But last one here with the incomings, really, before we move on to our special guest in Reece Bibby. George Cox, I'll be honest with you, don't really know much about him. It's quite a bummer to end on him because he doesn't seem like the best out of the bunch, but a left back in his own right. Pickering, I do believe he's a brilliant backup. I don't think he has the pace for the Championship. I don't think physically he's ready for the Championship, to be honest with you. But what do you think? What do you think about George Cox? Obviously done it quite a bit in the Eredivisie now.
Well, I'll just go back to the Harry Pickering thing at first. I was pretty hard on Harry at the start of last season. I was watching, and yeah, we brought Callum Britton in. Now Britton was playing before he got injured, and I thought Callum on that right hand side was so fast, he was so pacey. I think, bloody hell, that's what we're missing. We're missing that on the left side. But I think as the season got on, he got better, and I did actually rate Pickering. I thought he come into his own a little bit, but again, like you said, he probably isn't fast enough for this league. I mean, he's definitely a solid backup option, but again, George Cox, so he's coming from, is it the second division in the Netherlands?
They spent some time in the second division, but apparently he's got a lot of first division football under his belt now as well.
I don't know. He looks passionate. He looks like he'd play massively for the team. He doesn't look like a selfish kind of guy. But equally, do you need him when we've lost a centre back? We probably need to look in the centre back market more than looking for another left back. I think that's probably a main priority when you've lost Ayala.
Yeah, 100% there. I think Ayala is going to be a big miss. I think you look at the obviously what Thomason's trying to do, and he's trying to create a young team that's ready for any type of football. But as we know, with any young team, sometimes it just doesn't work, and you need the veterans to step in. And Danny Bath obviously is the name on most people's lips at the minute. With him coming in, we don't want to speak too much about that until it becomes a bit more official. But it's exciting things to come with the incomings. But obviously, we're going to head over now to our special guest Reece Bibby, where we talk to him about a few things, and then we'll be back for the outgoings. Our special guest, Reece Bibby. How are you doing, Reece?
Very good. Thanks for having me.
No, thank you very much for joining. This is our first time around doing all of this, our first special guest. And to be honest with you, we just want to know a little bit more about you and also how you got into Blackburn Rovers. Go on, explain yourself. Come on, let's hear about it.
Well, my dad's a big Rovers fan. My granddad is also a big Rovers fan. So pretty much like since I was a kid, I've had a season ticket there. Since I was like age of 3 or something. So I've always been following Rovers. They were my first club and only club. And then, yeah, like obviously I travel a lot more these days. So I listen to the games, or I live in America, so I've got to get up at like 7 a.m. or sometimes like 4 a.m. to watch the games. But yeah, I mean, I've always just been a massive Rovers fan. I love football, so I follow the Prem a little bit, but I mostly just watch Rovers.
You think about it. So you have to get up. What time would you say you have to get up in the morning if you wanted to watch us on a Saturday? What time would it be?
Well, on a Saturday, like 3 p.m. kickoff or something, or I've got to get up at literally, I think that's 4 a.m. So like when we played Burnley last season, I literally got up at like 4 a.m. and watched us lose 3-0 or whatever it was.
Dedication.
That wasn't too fun. But no, like the late kickoffs are usually around 8. So
A little easier, a little easier. My brother's in Chicago at the minute. He's doing stuff over there, and he's a massive Arsenal fan. So when it comes to watching the games over there, he can wake up at all sorts of times. And I know he gets lots of complaints from the family, especially when Arsenal score a goal and it's like 2 o'clock in the morning over there. So I must be paying if Rovers. Well, hopefully Rovers do impress sometimes when you're watching them live on TV and score. I can see how it can be hard to contain the excitement with it all. But let's get to know a little bit more about you. I've seen the X Factor. That's how it all started. A little thing with Cheryl Cole there as well when going on there. I saw that you were there to aim to impress. How did the music industry start for you, and how did it come along?
Well, my dad was a drummer, so I kind of inherited his drums when I was a kid, and then started playing drums, picked up the guitar, started singing, and I was doing a lot of like online stuff on Facebook back then when people used that, and then I basically was just doing a lot of pub gigs at the weekend in between school, and I was doing a lot of like busking in Manchester, just anything I could do to just like try and get my name out there.
Yeah.
And then basically, yeah, I was just doing more and more pub gigs. Like I was starting to become like someone who like the pubs wanted to book and stuff, which was like fun as a kid. And then I think I was busking one day in Manchester, and a police officer had to come over and like move me on, like which is like a normal thing to happen. But this police officer was like really nice, and she was like, "Oh, my friend owns Night and Day Cafe in Manchester, which obviously is like a really cool music venue.
Yeah.
And I can get you like a 20-minute slot or something." So I was like, buzzing, I'll do that. And then I did that gig, and from that gig I got scouted for the show.
No.
So I went and did X Factor, which was, interesting. It's not really something that I ever watched or was really interested in before doing it, but I just thought, why not? It's not gonna hurt. And it was a good experience. Like I was really young, and I think like looking back on it, I probably was a little bit too young for the exposure that I had, and it was like so much at once.
Yeah, I bet.
But like after that, I was kind of helped out by the fact I was in, a massive boy band, as in like there was 8 of us. So I was helped out by the fact that I wasn't really, super well known from that. So I got to, move on from X Factor, which is not always the case for a lot of people. And I met my current bandmates from New Hope Club. And yeah, now it's all good. Now we're touring and doing our own thing. And thankfully, I don't have the X Factor label attached.
I have heard, just to double check this is right, you have played at Ewood before, haven't you?
I've never played a gig there.
No,
No.
but did you ever play? I got told by a mate, right, that apparently you played in the crowd for the crowd before, or is that complete false information?
No, yeah, that is true. Wow, that's a long time ago. I think I went on, I don't know if I played, but I went on the pitch and like I basically got invited down to the training ground and I met like the players and stuff like and I met like Jordan Rhodes and stuff who was like, my hero. Um and then I just like I got to like walk around, take pictures and stuff. He let me pick a starting 11 as well, which was quite funny. I don't know if he ever used it, but like he like got me to go on his board and like just choose the starting 11.
Jordan Rhodes was definitely up front in that starting 11. He had to be.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah.
Of course. But yeah, it was funny. I remember like because I was just a kid and like he was like, "Oh, name any player you want to meet right now." And I was in his office and like for some reason like the only player that could come to my head because I was like, I don't know, I was so nervous in the moment. And there
Yeah.
was, I don't know if you remember Conor Mahoney,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
but I'm from Accrington, so he was from Accrington.
Yeah.
Like I was just like, oh, I got to meet Conor Mahoney, which is like so funny looking back at it. Like I get it, he's from Accrington, but like I could have met like Jordan Rhodes.
I was gonna say there's so many other players that now a lot more established. Obviously at the time Conor Mahoney was meant to
Yeah.
be something a lot more,
Yeah,
but nowadays you look back at that and go, oh, I could have met someone who was a lot more
yeah,
established in the team.
yeah, yeah. No, but it was quite, and he was really nice as well, like super nice guy. But yeah, it's just funny.
So obviously there as well, what you're on about there. Did you walk out on the pitch when all the crowd was there and everything like that? Was it? Yeah.
I think so. I think genuinely, I'm like completely blanking. I definitely went out onto the pitch. I don't know if I sang, but I definitely like spoke. I answered some questions or something on the pitch.
Listen, that's how you know it. That's how you know it's special. When you can't remember it, that's when you know it's
I know
special.
I just like blanked out. I walked out onto the pitch and can't remember anything else.
Do you know what it is? You're gonna go to sleep tonight, and it's all gonna come back to you, and you're like, "Wow,
Yeah.
that's
Yeah.
crazy." But have you got what I want to know is, have you got anything for the crowd there? What do you think of the crowd at Ewood? When obviously we had a lot more people going to the ground. Of course, these days you probably don't see as many people. But what did you think of the atmosphere around Ewood around that time? What's your thoughts on like Ewood Park and the fans?
Oh, I've got such amazing memories of the crowd there and some big games, like when we like playing United and stuff. And like we just had some amazing classic games and like I had a really good seat. We was always in Darwin End. There was like one section where they left it for the home fans and it was always just like chaos. Any big game we just had, we were getting grief from away fans and stuff. But no, it was ace. Like it was so good to see like just kids being Rovers fans because I feel like more and more now, everyone's growing up either a City fan or a Liverpool fan
Yeah.
or a United fan. So anytime I run into a Blackburn fan, like yourselves, I'm always like, it just makes me happy to see it. Like it's so rare, like you drive around and you see a Rovers fan, but every time I do it, I'm like, come on, you Blues, and they'll shout back, and it's always like just like at
I
that
was
little.
um I was going through Darwin the other week, and this must be how little people see Rover shirts nowadays. Like this guy shouted down from his windows, "Come on, you Blues!" And I thought,
Yeah.
well, it's nice, but I thought, I'm gonna go, lad.
Yeah, no, it's not because I think the fans that are still supporting and still like on this championship journey is we are very passionate about it because we've been there and we've tasted
Yeah.
the success and now we just want to see them get back to the Prem. So it's like we've been holding out for so long and holding out hope. So I hope they get it. Everyone at the club deserves it. So Hopefully we do it.
I think it's just so much like mentally easier to support a different team these days, especially with Rovers, because it's always coming so close and then just never really finishing well. But I want to move on from our questions and about Rovers and whatnot. We've had a few fan questions. It was unbelievable, the response. As soon as we said that we were going to do a podcast with you, the amount of Canadians and Americans I had messaging me saying, ask him this question, ask him that question. Number one, any of you watching, I don't think we're going to be able to get the new album dates and stuff like that. It ain't that type of podcast to be able to do that with Reece. But we have got 2 questions for you from fans, so I'm going to fire away with them. So, first one was, you've got a dog called Rover, and she said it's Jessie. I think you follow her on Instagram. She does a massive account on you. She said you got a dog called Rover, apparently the most adorable dog ever. She said, if you could name it though after a past or present player, who would it be and why?
Wow, what a question. That's a good question. Oof, that's tough. I think my favorite player growing up was Pedersen. So I think maybe like Morton Gamst or something like that. Like something good. Oh, but then again, I had so many players that I love. Like I love Two Guy. Like Two Guy was one of my favorite players ever. Nice. I don't know. There's so many. But yeah, no, I reckon Pedersen or Morton Gamst or something.
Morton Gamst, yeah, we like that. And the last one was, right, this is the other one, right? She said, so obviously you've had plenty of birthdays now. How many times on the birthday has it been a Blackburn Rovers birthday cake?
Too many times. It's a cop out at this point. No, yeah. My parents are always getting me like football. It's always like a football music mix. I'll be like having a Blackburn Rovers shirt on with a guitar or something. There's always a mix of worlds.
It's one of them ones. What do we get for Reece for his birthday? Oh, it's easy. We'll do what we do every other birthday. Rovers and music. That's what we're going for.
I've got an interesting fact about the dog one, right? So I've got a dog, right? So he's ended up being called Dobby. But when we were having names in the hat, I used to love Song Gallagher. I thought he was the goat, like the best singer in sliced bread. I wanted to name our dog Gally. And I'm so glad this just doesn't sound right though. You look back, you just think, what were I thinking?
If you get a horse, you've got to call him Gally.
Yes.
Right, moving on to the last section. Obviously, Reece, we're very glad for having you on, but we're going to test a bit of ball knowledge here. You know, Reece is Mr. Blackburn Rovers in the music scene, but let's see how well he handles these questions. So I'm going to start a timer as soon as Luke starts with the questions. You've got a minute. There's 10 questions. Answer as many as you can, and we go from there. Are you ready, Reece?
Yes, I hope so.
Luke, when you're ready, go, my friend.
What nationality is Jon Dahl Tomasson?
Norwegian.
Who was Rovers' top scorer when we won the Premier League?
It's got to be Alan Shearer.
What season did Rovers win the Worthington/League Cup?
Ooh, I'm gonna say 02, 03.
What player went from English to Chilean nationality?
Ben Burton.
Rudy Gestede played for Rovers. Name one other English club he played for.
Oh, that's tough. Oh, I know he went to like some French side, isn't it? I'm gonna say like Nice. I know it's not right, but I'm gonna just say it.
The road leading up to Ewood Park is named after which Rovers legend?
Well, Alan Shearer away.
Which Scottish manager won the Premier League with Rovers?
Dalglish.
And that's time up. That's time up. That's time up. Right. So you got asked 7 questions there. I believe it was, and out of the 7 questions, you got 5 right. So do you know what? That is impressive. That is impressive. You know, it's quick fire for a reason. A little bit more
top
speed.
Of the league anyway. You're top of the league.
No, I got the Gestede wrong. I got that wrong. What other clubs did he play for? It's gonna
it was the English clubs we wanted. So it would have Middlesbrough or Aston Villa we would have wanted.
Okay.
And then with JDT.
Cardiff as well.
Cardiff as well, yeah.
Oh yeah, he's sweet.
Oh, that's Welsh.
JDT's Danish.
Danish. I knew
Yeah,
it was one of them.
it's got to be one of the Scandinavian countries.
Yeah, one of the Scandinavian.
The flags are near enough the same anyway. It's just one's got a blue
Different
stripe, one's
colours.
got
That's
a
it.
white.
That's all it is, isn't it? That's all it is. Scandinavian countries, different colours, same flag, different countries. It is what it is. But that was impressive. I'm impressed with you, Reece, to be honest. So that was pretty good.
Thank
But
you.
coming to an end, this is it. Reece, if you've got a message to any of the fans, obviously you've got a lot of your own fans who's going to be watching this. You've got a lot of Blackburn Rovers fans. What's your message to your fans and the Blackburn Rovers fans watching?
Well, to my own fans, yeah, thank you for everything. Thank you for all the support. Thank you for the great questions. And to Rovers fans, good luck for the season. I hope it's not a heartbreak again. And yeah, thanks to you lads for having me on. It's been a lot of fun. It's nice to talk about football for once and be for a reason and not just in a pub or talking about music. Yeah, it's good. Thanks, lads.
Yep, welcome back, and thank you, Reece, for that. That was absolutely amazing to sit down and chat with you. Such a lovely bloke, such a humble man, especially with the position he's in, and to have a chat with us too. It does mean a lot, of course. But if you've made it this far, well done. I know these podcasts sometimes can get a little bit long, but it's time to go into the outgoings now. And this is an interesting one, really, at the minute. There's so many sources out there that you really want to trust, but you just don't know. Probably me and Luke being one of them, to be honest with you. You know, the Air Adams stuff with the incomings, that's kind of something we saw about and we put it out there more mainstream. But I promise you, we're trying to get the most legit news we can out there. But the outgoings anyway. Adam Wharton is probably the biggest one when it comes to it. I really want to trust some of the stuff I see. But when you misspell Adam Wharton and put Scott Wharton, his brother, there instead, how reliable are these sources? I don't think very reliable. But apparently Scott, which they mean Adam, might be going to Everton. Apparently we've got a hefty fee coming in, and also Neil Morpeth and Ellis Sims as well. I think I'm going to say now, what a load of rubbish. But Luke, yourself, mate, what do you think about it all?
Well, we know footy insider quite well, don't we? Let's be honest. Like we've had a few stories from them. We were on the verge of signing 3K Dembele. He was having a medical. He was done. It was a done deal. Never came around. Never happened. He went to Bournemouth. You know, there's so many different times where they've bottled stories on us, and you know they're losing our trust. The only thing they've ever got right, I think, is Taya Wedding. You know, they reported that first. That's the only thing they got right. But to get the wrong person altogether, Scott and Adam. One's a defender, one's a midfielder. One is, you know, I know the brothers, but it's a bit frustrating because you read it and they say Neil Morpeth and Ellis Sims. Ellis Sims, okay, we're linked with him, but Neil Morpeth is never going to step back down to the Championship and take. It's going to be half a wage cut, isn't it? It might even be less. You know what I mean? It's going to make a massive wage cut. Like I just don't believe it, especially when Greg and JDT have already said that they want to keep him. He's a very young, good prospect, and this season he's gonna be unstoppable in this league. He'll get more game time, and I feel with Buckley, I think he'll link up quite well. I think we'll have a really good midfield this year.
I think JDT as well, like you were saying there, if you're JDT right now and you've got Adam Wharton who's blue and white through and through, he's someone you build a team around. You know, he's the pivotal point in that team where you've got to build around him. You know, he's he's literally the building blocks, he's the original foundation, and you build on top of him. And I think that can definitely be done. You look at Ellis Sims; he's been rumored to be valued by Everton around 7 to 8 million, and it's just like, really, you really think that they're going to give us 10 million, then a 7 to 8 million player, and then easily probably a 15 to 20 million player on top of that? I wouldn't trust anything you see, guys. It gets funnier and funnier by the day, in my opinion. You know, it's all good saying, you know, they're interested in this player, but when you're making silly stuff out like that, you know, if it happens, then Football Insider right now from me and Luke, I apologize if it happens, but I can guarantee you guys, 99% it's definitely going to happen. But that also does take us to his brother Scott. Where do you see Scott's position in this team? I actually want to know this because a lot of people on Twitter, it's quite trending at the minute. A lot of people want him gone. And for me, another guy, blue and white through and through, he puts his absolute heart on his sleeve for this team. And it just seems like no one really wants him here.
Well, I mean, you have to look towards the end of the season. At the start of the season, it was brilliant. You know, everybody loved him. What a player! But he he got that concussion, didn't he, midway through the season, and he missed 2 or 3 games. He came back, just hasn't been the same. There was 3 games in a row where he got brought on, and maybe it was the wrong decision. Maybe he shouldn't have been brought on. That's the manager's choice. We don't really have a say in that. He's brought him on. We've conceded 3 late goals, and they could have cost us a playoffs. But again, he's blue and white through and through. He's a Rovers lad. He supports the club. He lives pretty local. I think he lives near Brockwell anyway. So he's it's a tough one. But is he really ready for this league? He's had that Achilles injury when back in lockdown. He's had a lot of injuries for his age, and I think maybe it's hard to say, but maybe a loan away might benefit him again, just to help him get a bit of confidence back, just find some more form again. Like before that Burnley game at home, he came to the ground car. He's walking in, and everybody just said he looked deflated, he looked wounded, he looked absolutely gutted because he wasn't playing that game. I don't even think he was named on the bench, if I remember rightly. Like, he's a Rovers fan, and that must hurt to not be included in a game of that magnitude. It must hurt a lot.
Yeah, and I think one thing as well, like I think one thing that must be playing on his mind, especially, is the fact that he's already starting to become in his brother's shadow. And as the older brother, you kind of always want to be the influence. You want to be that person. Whereas Adam's come through the ranks now and absolutely blown everyone away with how good he is at football. I mean, that boy is a magician. He is the Wiltshire Pearler for a reason. But Scotty, for me, I'd keep him. But at the end of the day, I also wouldn't be angry if we got rid of him, because just like you said, they're pure injuries, and don't doubt it. On his day, an amazing defender who is ready for the championship. But it's when that day comes along, I wait too long for it sometimes. I get so hung up thinking he's going to be there one day, and he just isn't. But moving over straight away, I'm going to go to Sam Gallagher. Rumour has it that apparently Birmingham City are interested in signing him. It's going to be a difficult one to get over the line. I think there's another club as well who are interested. The reason why it's going to be difficult, obviously Blackburn paying 6.5 million euros for him at the time, which nowadays we look at that and go, that is some money for Sam Gallagher. For the Sam Gallagher we've got, can't doubt the passion he has on the pitch, but 6.5 million to the goal ratio he's got isn't looking too good. But Birmingham City apparently have seen stuff like 1.5 to 2 million's the max they're wanting to spend on him. That's it, really. They look like they're cooking this window. Do you think it'd be a good move for both parties, really?
Well, I just want to go back to that 6.5 million price tag. So obviously we bought him when he was a young lad, probably about 19, maybe 18, 19. I think that's when we bought him. And you think about it, like, we were buying him for his potential more than anything. And when you come into a club and you're getting put on the wing when you're a centre forward, it must be really frustrating. And I have seen this stuff with Birmingham. Obviously, he's played on loan at Birmingham. He probably didn't have his best spell there. But again, it's a money thing. They'll have to sell someone. Like, they've got Tai Chong, and I feel like he's permanent. He's been there 3 seasons, I think, and there are clubs interested. So if they sell him, they can generate that money. And listen, we're not asking for 1 to 2 mil. We're asking for about 3 or 4. I've heard. You know what I mean? Like, they can't afford his wage and they can't afford his price tag. So I understand they're interested. They think he's a good player and he can fit their team. But if you know you can't afford it, like, why are you trying it? You need to move on, try and get another target, and let this lad. He's still relatively young. Let this young lad focus on his football. Let him focus on finding some form.
Yeah, and like you said, I think it's one of them ones where, if Gallagher finally does find some form, he could be the striker that we've been waiting to sign all transfer window, really. But again, it's if that comes along, unfortunately. And as a Rovers fan, it feels like we've been waiting a little bit too long for that to come along for our liking. And we are an impatient fan base, and a lot of us who do watch, a lot of the olders anyway, are used to success, and when they don't get it within 2 to 3 seasons, I'm sorry, Gallagher, but you just don't fit what's going on here at the minute. But like you said in past videos that we've done on the channel, like, you know what? JDT loves this boy. You can just tell the way he talks about him. Like you said, it's almost like it's his own son. And I think that's why Gallagher's still got a chance at Blackburn. And I think that JDT is going to make sure he knows this is his last season to do something. And if he doesn't, then I don't know. I think that's it. But moving on to the last one, which is a bit of a shock one, really, a bit upsetting. Lewis Travis, from Millwall, we had a 6-figure bid come in, which is laughable, really. Rumoured to be 800 to 950k the bid, which is an insult. Anything under anything under 2 million is an insult in my opinion for Lewis Travis. But what do you think of it all? Apparently Luton are interested now. Do you think that there's a possibility he may walk out the door? Because if I'm giving you my opinion, Luke, mate, I don't see very many minutes for Lewis Travis next year.
I see Luton Town are interested, like you said, and it's a Premier League club. He wants to go and play the Premier League. Everybody's dream is to go and play in the Premier League, but is he good enough? I think Luton are going to splash the cash, and obviously they won the playoff. It's a big money prize for in the playoffs. Is he the right player? Is he going to fit in? I understand they're quite a tough team, but in the Premier League, it's completely different. Like he's a good central midfielder. Like, he's a good CDM. You know what I mean? He's strong. He's physical, but he hasn't got that passing ability. And I feel like Luton are going to need somebody with a bit more of a game reading mentality in the attacking department rather than the defensive sort of. So I would be gutted to see Lewis leave. I think he's a lovely guy. I think he's a class player, but equally, if somebody's waving the money in front of me and saying, "Yeah, you can go and play in the Premier League and you can go and buy Despodov," like we all want him. Why don't we do it? Like if they come in, I'd sell. If it's a reasonable price and they're offering us enough money, I'd be gutted to see him go. But equally, I would understand it's an opportunity that anybody jump at.
And I think the one thing that I'd want Rovers to do, which I don't think they would, is no matter what, keep one price tag, whether you're a Championship or Prem team. I get the whole fact Luton have been promoted, like you said, they're through the playoffs and they're going to have money to splash. But if we give them different treatment and then they pull out and they're probably the only team that are realistically going to buy the price tag that we set for him, I say just keep it the same for them. And I think, don't get me wrong, leadership wise, you can see last year that Lewis at some points, he was showing good leadership. Then there were some points where you just thought he's lacking it. He's lacking in some departments. I think we know next year whether Lewis stays or not, that Dom Hyam's going to take that armband off him, rightly so. But it is what it is at the minute, and we're happy. I'm happy with the transfer window. Luke, mate, what would you rate it so far?
I'd probably go a solid 7. I think we're doing good. The fact that it's early, we've got what 2 attacking players in and one midfielder already. We're starting that rebuild. So we lost quite a few players when Tony Mowbray left. Your Joe Rothwells and all them lot. So we didn't really replace them last window, and I think everybody's happy with the business we're doing so far. And I think we are slowly starting to rebuild that squad we had.
And I think, like you said there, it is a solid 7, 8 out of 10. I think that 3 and that 2 that's missing is that striker. As soon as we get a clinical striker, and maybe you could argue another experienced centre back in, which I think we've got in Dom Hyam now already, to be honest with you. But if we need another one, we need another one. I think this window has probably been the best window I've seen from Blackburn in absolutely forever. For what we've actually got going for us. We need to take them stepping stones, and Mowbray, in my opinion, sometimes would skip a lot of the stepping stones, and that's why he always fell at one, whereas JDT seems to be taking it one step at a time, and at the minute he's not missed a single one. But we've got to remember, guys, that JDT's only human. As much as we think he's a magic man, we can only pray with what we've got at the minute, and let's hope the Venky's pump some more money in. But Luke, thank you for joining us today.
No problem. It's been a pleasure.
Me and Luke are going to be doing this every week. We love doing it. We love the club. We hope everyone enjoyed this podcast. You know what I mean? This is something that we want to see the fans on too. We've got lots of things set up. We want opinions. We want everything. Unpopular opinions. We're going to be doing different sections. But this week we thought a nice little steady transfer little rumour summary would do the job. But thank you everyone for listening, and hopefully you'll be tuning in next week where we have got a very special guest, and the only hint that we can give you is that he's the next Blackburn player. Take care and enjoy the rest of your week, people.